happiness. We not in a number with stress. Dance me a dance and I enjoy myself. If you want to for your business, me clean like some sleep in a bleach. Some are mixed for the color, but the shade now reach.
Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so the time here in SVG, it is now 8:41, and we are back with another Activated Mornings for today. Well, another segment of today's Activated Mornings. All right, so in studio, we have Deanna, Christal, Dr. Gerald Thompson, surrounded by all the ladies, and myself, Roleza.
La 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 la.
You ain't saying anything to that?
All the ladies, including yourself.
Yeah, man.
You didn't include yourself?
I said myself after.
She said the ladies and herself. People take these things and twist them around.
Yes, we've been so technical. That's fine.
I thought I taught you better than that.
All
anyways,
right.
I'm just fooling around, yeah?
Yeah. So is there anything else anybody wanted to say in relation to the last topic before we jump into
If we start back on that way, we're done. So,
yeah? All right.
maybe he know what he doing. He know what he doing. People know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Anyways, as usual, if you see something, you suspect something, open your mouth and say something and look out for those who can't look out for themselves. And this is just another one of those stories. Too many of our young girls and boys are being sexually abused in this place.
All right. So let's jump into another story. You confused?
No.
Okay.
Keep us
All right. So on Friday night, talking about these stories.
Let's
Paul's
get to it.
Avenue mass shooting victims identified. All right. So 6 persons were shot and injured in Paul's Avenue, Kingstown on Friday night, 1 year after a mass shooting claimed 5 lives in the city, eyewitness has confirmed. The victims and their injuries are Ezekiel George, 40, of Kingston Park, who was shot in his legs. Kanaka Smith, 32, of Paul's Avenue, was shot in his hands. Shakur Da Silva, 42, of Lomans Leeward, was shot in his legs. Palasa Bino, 42, of Paul's Avenue, was shot in her foot, hand, and back. Paul Moses, 53, of Camden Park and Canada, was shot in his legs and back. Tisan Moses of Redemption Shafts was shot in his back. Eyewitness News was reliably informed that people were socializing in the street with Paul Moses, who was scheduled to travel today, he was scheduled to travel on Saturday when gunshots were fired from a passing vehicle. The shooting came exactly 1 year after 2 men exited a white SUV in the Harbor Club area towards the east of the city and opened automatic gunfire on a group of men socializing on the roadside, killing 5 people. Among those killed was Paul's Avenue resident Lamont Hector, aka Dutchie. All right, and just to remind persons of the victims in that particular incident, they were Jamal Barber, aka Dutty, DeAndre Hillocks, Ricky Taylor, Kashi Primus, a 14-year-old schoolboy. All right. Also to note, police are yet to charge anyone for those murders, despite offering a $50,000 award for information leading to the arrest of the perpetrator. All right. So, commentary, folks.
The WhatsApp number, remember it's interactive, 4579997. You can WhatsApp message, voice notes, or call us by that number. You can also call us direct at 4579997. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at WEFM 99 SVG, so be sure to drop a comment, share, the full works. I don't know if it's by intent or coincidental that this happened
on the anniversary.
And exactly, yes. Right? I want to lead to believe that it was intentional, because at least one, I don't know where the victims from last year's mass shooting were from, but one of them we know from Paul's Avenue. So that is another point too. I don't see this as any
Yeah, I
coincidence.
don't either. It seems linked in some way.
But then, what kind of mind, if it is that it's not a coincidence and it was planned, what kind of mindset you would have? You know what? On the 1 year anniversary, let us do this. That's crazy. That's real crazy. Was the intent to really kill? Like, what was the intent?
And I suppose also, who was the target? Was there an intended target, or was it a case of reenacting, and reenacting for want of a better word, what had happened last year? Was there somebody specifically who was amongst our group who was targeted, or was it just to send a reminder of what
Send
had
a
happened
message, yeah.
last year?
So to send a reminder, you couldn't just send a WhatsApp message
No data, no Wi-Fi.
or put something online. You had to have a bit of a shootout.
They needed it to be spectacular.
That's
Make sure that the message that is sending is received loud and clear. I think it's scary because if you sat and you planned something like that to do what you do, if indeed it was planned this way on the anniversary of something similar, for me it's really scary. Because we're going to plan next. I mean, if you could make a plan like that, what are you going to do next?
I mean, the fact that it happened before, right?
Yeah.
It should like open our eyes to okay.
So now person's probably gonna be on the lookout next year around this same time on the anniversary for something. Not calling anything to happen, but I'm just saying.
Knocking plenty wood right now. Doc,
This is really disturbing, but we talk of 6 individuals being injured, shot in different parts of their body. One of those bullets could have killed, and we could have been hearing now 5 shot, 1 dead, 4 shot, 2 dead. This, 3,
or all
six
dead.
all of them. Now, it sounds definitely like revenge, and you see in different parts of the world. Gosh, don't talk about Honduras, Ecuador, El Salvador. These places. This is real in northern Mexico. Also in certain parts of Africa, this stuff is kind of rife, and it's your posse, your gang, your thing, because of the loss of a close friend, a relative. Somebody has it in their mind they are going to get back. They've done their own investigation. They have an idea who it is, and to some extent, the police also have a lot of this evidence, but there may not always be enough evidence to bring a prosecution and carry it to court and so forth, because there's no eyewitness, there's no weapon, there's none of these things that are found sufficiently to be able to bring a case. So the thing goes on, and sadly, in between, a year goes by, and there's some revenge aspect. It gives the police a little bit more information on the other side, but it's usually not enough. It's disturbing.
What's also disturbing, right, is that somebody or some people managed to kill 5 people at once, and today,
No
arrests,
persons
no
arrested.
charges, no
right? And there is like a $50,000 reward out, and there's nobody. I remember distinctly at the time that happened, people were saying that you had to be so careful with who you hang out with. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
And where you hang out as well.
Nowhere.
who and where, right?
And
Paul's Avenue has not had a very good label, a good brand,
But it's been
Although it's-
improving
right? Right.
significantly. The construction of buildings and other things, and infrastructure, things
A very commercial
You know,
space
it-
now. yeah.
Right. But for some people, they will always remember or think back once you hear Paul's Avenue, we don't walk through there. As you rightly said, it's been changing. So for now, this to happen, it kind of just flips the script, and now they have to start over from like.
No, I think what it is for me though is right. Same time here. Anyway,
Intrusive thoughts
one
again?
of, yes.
You have a lot of those.
I don't know.
You watch
sometimes
too
I
much
don't know.
crime documentaries.
No, I don't know how to separate certain things sometimes. But anyway, no, I think one of the things is just to be mindful of, I suppose, when you go certain places, some of the persons who you may see around, right? Let me leave it at that.
Yes, leave it at that.
Let me leave it at that.
Because your
I-
conscience is
because-
telling you two different things.
Because it's not necessary to put an entire stigma onto Paul's Avenue, right? Because the thing of it is that I would walk through there because there are different commercial businesses in there. So I would walk through there, and I generally am not afraid to walk through there, right? I actually felt a little bit more safer when there was a police presence at the ends of particular streets. Because if something were to happen, I mean, albeit may not happen quickly enough in terms of me being safe or whatever, persons being safe, but at least police would have been present, and that would have been a deterrent.
Yeah.
There were police officers who were stationed at the entrance and entrances of particular lanes or particular streets or roads within Paul's Avenue, but those persons are no longer there. The officers are no longer there. Of late, I have not been seeing them.
I know that's true.
But you talk about during the daytime.
During the daytime.
Yes.
Yeah.
The shooting wasn't during the day, was it?
No, but
What-
even though,
Yeah,
right?
but- mhm.
Once you have police presence,
Yes.
people would not be inclined to want to do certain things.
And the thing that I cannot separate from now, Doc, is you can't even say that this happened in the night, right?
Mhm.
Things are happening now in the day,
Yeah.
right? So
I'm talking about in this particular case.
Mhm.
I think that the police have been patrolling during the day. I still see them,
Oh,
know? And they walk through. They're not stationary at one location so that everybody sees that they walk around. So you may not see them on this street, but I think they're there. And police are always traversing from the court system through Paul's Avenue back to the barracks. I think this. I've had an experience in New York where I had left a location, this where I had a hangout, and an hour after I left, there was what's called a drive-by. And this was very common in LA and different places and so forth, where people, different gangs, different rivalry, and they're aiming. Maybe they're not aiming. They probably have one individual, but they don't mind whether spray bullets are gonna hit. I'm not sure if all 6 of those individuals were targeted, and nobody could really give that impression. But maybe there might have been one individual or 2 individuals who they were after, but they didn't care. They just wanted to spray bullets and hope that it really hits the individual. Don't care who else it hits.
The good thing is, though, that area has a lot of businesses. So there should be a lot of camera footage
Cameron.
as to the vehicle. The problem might be is if the vehicle was stolen. That's one. Stolen from an area that's not well laid. It's like, you're not able to see who hijacked the vehicle. The rental, if it was a rental, and people can easily flip out the license plates. I mean, these people, I have to say people, folks, because you clearly see it's not just men, it's men and women. So these folks, they seem to be doing a bit of research and figuring out how to carry out their stuff. But just to say though, that Paul's Avenue has produced quite a lot of influential people. And they continue to do so. They have been very impactful on culture, mass, football, steel pan. So good morning to the folks of Paul's Avenue. It's quite unfortunate that when you're just having a chill out moment, a recreational moment with your friends and family and what's not, and these sort of things have to happen. It's quite terrifying to think about being in that space. I mean, at the time too, there could have been children. I'm not too sure who else was around, but sometimes you have your child children playing with neighborhood children. I mean, I'm pretty young. Okay. But I have heard, there was a period of time, 7:00, the adults are out relaxing, having their moments, and the neighborhood children are playing like close by. Like I would really love for that, for things to be so safe that we don't have to worry about drive-by shootings.
And I think one of the things so when I read it, like my heart sunk again because it's just back to back issues that we're having on matters that we've had to report on. We had this incident with the persons in South Rivers. Then we had this thing with the rapist who ran away, was wanted, right? Then we
Playing
have this
tricks.
particular situation, right? Stemming off of the heels of what happened a year before. I am supposed to get to the point of being outraged, but at this point, my heart just sinks, right? And it's sinking because of the fact that, number one, it no longer seems as if in all cases or in most cases, it's targeted, right? I could just be a bystander. I could just be at the wrong location and something can happen to me, right? So it's not to say that I am giving up in terms of feeling safe here in SVG. But I just think that right now, that whole perception that I have of not so much in my community, I think I go in my community, right? But when I leave my community, of something possibly happening, and I could end up being caught up in it.
Yeah. That is
Because I could, let's say if I was from the community of South Rivers and I was in Geku at that time, what could have possibly happened? Yeah. If I was defiant and I did not drop to the ground, what could have happened?
Well, that brings the question. What are you going to do about it, and what can you
Stay in
do
my
about
house.
it? I'm not
Roleza,
sure.
even that on all
vigilant.
sometimes.
Which is true.
Yeah, because you
I'm
get
not sure.
attacked
I've
at home.
asked you that. That was
Which
the
is
wrong
true.
answer. That was the wrong answer. But I mean, Christal, what can we do about this? I mean, what should be done about this?
I mean, there are so many things, right? But most of all, action. Action, action, action. The way some people are socialized, sometimes they pass down generational trauma, vendettas. I think there was a story last week where like there was an issue with father and son. Father went through this, and then the son ended up going through a similar situation in terms of criminal activity. How do we nip that in the bud when the participant is not a willful individual to say, you know what, I need to cut this out. I could live a better life.
You mean a stigma that's attached to the or
not necessarily stigma, but the socialization, right?
Right.
Is there somebody outside to say, you know what, you shouldn't go down that road?
Right.
But then sometimes when people get themselves involved, it's very difficult. You don't come out alive, and you become more fearful. I'm not even gonna try to come out because of whatever. Parenting.
Proper parenting.
Sometimes the situation at home lends itself to a child being neglected. That child looking for love gets love from the quote unquote wrong people who did a good deed, right? They did a good deed, but their background is not suitable for raising another child. It's not yours. You're helping out a situation, making reference here to another story from recently. But then the child then becomes because they feel that love from the individual, which is a good thing that the person did, but then the influence of other things, maybe drugs, alcohol, prostitution, firearms, murder, whatever criminal activity, that child say, you know what, because this person has been good to me,
I owe it to them. I should be
Let
let
me.
them, let
You
me
understand?
be loyal.
It's a bit of guilt, yeah.
Yes. I don't want to do good
Guilt-free.
because exactly, and they're not really motivating me to choose elsewhere. You understand? And it really happens. It does happen. In some cases, what do we do again? As ordinary citizens, you can try talking until thy kingdom come. I don't think you should stop, even though some people might cuss you back. Try talking. There are things that can be done in the community, little activities, right? Help out the police as much as you possibly can. Get your child or children involved in like summer activities. Get them motivated. Get them in sports. Get them in music. There are things that like $20 for an entire summer program to learn pan. Sign Hill has a program coming up. Starlight has their own. There are different things you could do during the summer. Get them motivated and inspired to do something else. Get them in football. You just never know. Anyways,
Doctor, you posed the question to me, but I would like to hear your response.
Yeah, I mean, Christal said parent. That's the usual thing we say, but I want to say peer. In that sense, the people who we link with, we think that we are linking and we know everybody around us. And in terms of, there are people who you know that you can have some influence on. And don't get this wrong, when you say, I'm going to stay in the house.
Yeah, which is probably not even the right thing because somebody actually died in their house recently, was murdered in their house
well,
recently.
that was true. But I think that we really have to get out there. I think that older individuals has to start looking at the young marginalized males in and around them that may not have had the parenting, you know what I mean, as you're saying, and the background was being created. But I think we also have to influence our sons. I think in terms of our boyfriends, our husbands, and so forth, I think that there has to be a kind of a cultural community, massive type of movement to engage persons to say that, look, this is not right, and we have to reach out there. I think this kind of net is not going to be complete. Things will still filter through, but I think we may well catch a number of persons before they slip through, you know. And yes, the young child, raising them 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and so forth, that's important, that aspect of parenting. But I think that in today's world, there are some young, middle-aged persons who are no longer babies. They're there. They're the ones who are necessarily going to commit or prone to commit those crimes. And I think there has to be some engagement of these particular individuals. It's not necessary that we isolate these persons, but there has to be some engagement. And that could be a big debate about how one engages. But I said boyfriends, friends of friends.
But this has to be positive, like-minded individuals. Because remember, you can be negatively peer pressure. Well, you can be negatively influenced as well.
You can be negatively influenced, but within those particular groups, there are people who have to fight back on the positive influence. Okay. You know, you have to fight against those negative influence, because if you, and I've told you, if you stay in your room, if you get scared and become isolated, those people with the negative influence are going to win. They are going to predominate, and they're going to pull people through the net. A lot of people will filter through the net. People will always filter through the net, right? Some will go through the net, but how do we prevent that much person filtering through? It will have that positive effect. I mean, I feel that way.
All right. So,
it's 9:03, but let's just let me just quickly read some comments. We could probably pick up at 9:20, but just to quickly read some comments, right? Why do we spend somebody saying, why do we spend so much time with, well, I guess, discussing vagabonds? We have a lot of intentions to great things. It would be great to hear about their achievements. All right. I mean, to be fair, we do try to do a balanced commentary here on mornings in terms of putting forward the positive as well as social topics. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So we have another comment from a follower. They say, how much people died from, or they want to know how much persons died from that shooting. They say, I'm planning to start building a home. I just bought a piece of land a couple of years ago. Now I'm wondering if I still should. Vinci is my home, and there is where I dream of retiring. Now I'm having second thoughts.
Come still.
Build an apartment, rent it out.
Come still, right?
Don't waste the land.
And to answer the question, nobody died in this the shooting that we're speaking of. They were shot and injured, but nobody died. All right, but to this person, I would still say that I am not going to live anywhere else but SVG.
Yeah.
Right?
In your house, because you ain't coming outside.
I come out occasionally, right? But I probably need to just hail up my community, which is why it is that I feel safe. So the person who's calling, we would take the call at 9:20. Let's just quickly read through these comments, and then we would
All right. So another one says, my concern is being that it's the 1 year anniversary of this happening. Shouldn't there be police officers stationed there? If these persons are so bold to do that again in broad daylight, chances are they will definitely strike again. We have to be very careful.
All right. So just on a point of clarification, this incident actually happened in the night.
But the real Brazilian it is so.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was talking about the mentioning of the license plates earlier, and they're saying that's another reason why plates need to be issued only by a government entity. It's so easy to copy someone's plate or make up some random plate to commit crimes.
That is extremely difficult because plotters are easy to get, right? And vinyl and
So-
the things in them.
Which is why there should only be authorized persons doing it.
But
Not
you
any
can't
and
see a
everybody.
vehicle pass and say, okay, that's an authorized license
No, the
plate.
issuing of the license plates. Because remember, you have to go to a person or a company for them to actually do the license plate. So there should be authorized persons to do so, not just anybody
Right, but
stating
you
that
could
they can.
only get
Somebody
that
could
if you get
st-
into
and put a
trouble.
stencil and spray it
Right.
on and do a good
Mhm.
job
No.
at it, you know.
Okay,
know?
clearly you don't know how easy it is to make a license plate.
Yes,
So that is it. That is exactly it. So this is why I'm saying that to do it, you need to have authorized persons.
How can you tell of authority by seeing the vehicle pass? Authorization does not prevent it from happening.
I suppose they're leaning towards making it easier for the police. If you get the plate, I don't know, they're probably thinking it's easier for the police to follow up on it.
That's if the police investigate something, then they can
I guess
say.
where Christal is coming from, that it's still somebody can still do it even if they're authorized persons doing it. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying, right?
Yeah.
It's easy.
Right.
Still easy.
And
Unless you have it like a sticker, like license plate stickers.
but
Still easy.
the person is thinking that, well, only unauthorized, therefore you could quickly know whose plate
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, yeah.
But the illegal plate or the plate that isn't real
It's too
could
easy.
then be made.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's do one more. We have
That's
No?
it.
Okay,
Alright,
so
we
let's
so the
wrap up
person
this.
who was calling, we could probably pick it up in the talk to me segment. And but at this time we have to take a break as it's 9:07 for today's ECCB bank rates.
Activated mornings on WEFM 99.9.